time passes. The sun was setting, the sky was an orange hue, as the steamboat slowly moves up the narrow river, deep into the dark valley. To calm their nerves, the twins were taking swigs of alcohol from a flask. Deed offered you a hit.
Because I don't drink, my instinct was to decline. After a thought, I took a big chug, emptying the flask.
Deed notices the flask was light, and tilted it upside down, checking to see it was empty. They didn't seem to mind though. The boat finally enters the Black Pond. As it gets closer, everybody starts seeing the remnants of the other village that was supposed to be underwater. The twins and the boat crew looked at each other in shock and disbelief. Nobody knew the water had receded and exposed the village. The captain stops the boat, stating that it might run aground. You would have to rowboat from here. The twins looked at you, hoping you'll go alone.
I bluntly say, let's go.
They look at each other, about to cry. While rowing to the land, the twin watches the boat float away. The captain and the crew refused to stay. The twins sighed. Boatmen have strict superstitions.
I let the two goofballs do the rowing. This whole thing was actually a charade. I could have flown, teleported, or used magic to get over here. I just didn't want my enemies know my capabilities. Better they underestimated me.
As you get closer, an eerie mist flows out of the dark woods, filling the valley. Surprisingly, for some reason, some of wooden structures were still intact, maybe preserved by the coating of river mud and algae. When you reached the shore of the sunken village, you all start walking through the village, following the reminiscence of the main cobble road. You noticed the ground was somewhat solid, but a tad muddy, indicating the village was exposed to the surface for a while, maybe for a few weeks, about the time when the disappearance started to occur. Later, the leads you to the stonemason church and cemetery. In the lighting of the misty twilight, covered in algae and soot, the church looked a sanctuary for the wicked and evil. The twins were freaking out over every little noise and shadow. They asked if they could leave and come back tomorrow during the day.
I reached into my magic hip bag and pulled out a couple of crystal shards, one for each of them. I tell them they're relocator shards. The Duke's counselor has the main crystal. If things go sideways, they have to smash it to the ground, and they'll be teleported back to the mayor's mansion.
They both just nodded and placed them in their pockets. Having faith that you could handle everything, they agreed to continue on. But still being scared, they continued on by holding each other tight.
I use my Lycan to sense for anybody or things in the area.
You see a faint aura about the stones and earth. The rocks glow a hint of unusual colors. However, it's very weak, almost undetectable, as if magic was being used to hide the reality. You don't sense anything out here, but you get a strong sense of an unusual being in the church.
I use ghost eyes to see if there's any spirits in the area as well.
You see no one, not even in the ancient cemetery. Not even if you go into the ghost realm would you see any memories of this dead village. What is dead is dead.
I enter the church with the two clowns close behind, as I follow the sense to that unusual being.
You search the church, feeling it is somewhere around here. But where is it? Maybe invisible? In another dimension? You're not sure. But you Lycan eyes would have been able to see all of that. Wherever it is, it's definitely here.
I just figured out it was underneath, and look for a way to go underground.
You look for levers. You look for secret doors, then it hits you. The familiar smell of the woman from the inn, but this time it is strong, like an hour strong. Following it out of the church, you end up at the only tomb in the cemetery. Pieces of the rusted door lays all over the entrance area, as well as fresh multiple footsteps in the dry mud. Peering inside, you could see the back wall broken away, exposing a secret room. For some reason, you also smell the counselor and the guards here.
I take out a fist-sized crystal ball and rubbed it on my sleeve. The static charge lights up the ball, illuminating the room. I give it to the twins.
The two fight for it like babies for a candy.
I use my lichen eyes to see in the dark room.
You see that it's a room with a hole in the middle, large and deep enough that one could jump right down to the bottom and break their legs. But even if one survives the jump, right in the center is a fire pit lighting up the bottom half of the stairway. Fortunately, there are stone stairs spiraling down against the wall.
I look at them, telling them not to fall. Then I rub my eyes because it seems to be getting blurry.
The twins silently nod, but wondered what was wrong with you. You looked impaired to them. When you reach the bottom, there's a tunnel, a natural rocky passage, but the path is lit by fresh torches on the walls.
I warned the worried twins that something was affecting me. I was not feeling focused and feeling weak. Maybe they should leave and let me deal with the cult by myself.
They nervously shook their heads no, and wanted to go on. You head carefully trek through the rocky tunnel until the path opens up to a large ancient cavern with stalagmites and pools of water. You could hear faint haunting sound of chanting.
I start to feel dizzy. I turn around and tell them to leave, before passing out.
The scared twins see you face plant into the ground, and watches you lying motionless in a pool of water. They looked at each other, then all of a sudden they were scared no more. In fact, they looked happy and relieved that you were finally out. It seems they didn't like to play the role of the dumb willing idiots for you. They picked up your limped body and started dragging you further in.